Well, people, Casper here, and welcome to this week's matchday predictions. So, if you watched last week's video, you saw that I got 3 out of 10 correct, and this week we're going for 10 out of 10. Very modest predictions. So, let's get straight into it. First, we've got Newcastle Bournemouth, and I think it's going to be 2-1 to Bournemouth. Bit of a surprise score there. Whereas Copilot predicted 2-1 to Newcastle. It'll be interesting to see which way it goes. The game is actually playing right now, and I know Bournemouth are winning 1-0, so maybe my prediction was actually right. We'll see. It's looking like an upset just right now, but it's literally like 10 minutes into the game, something like that. Newcastle like to surprise their fans in being shit all of a sudden, and I think this was kind of the right time for it. So next we've got Brentford-Liverpool at the Brentford Stadium, and the interesting thing I spoke about on last week's episode was that Brentford are actually second in the league based on their home games. They even drew to City there last week, and could be another upset, but I still think Liverpool are too good for them. It's going to be 1-0 to Liverpool, whereas Copilot predicts 2-1 to Liverpool. I do think Arne Slot is going to be a bit rattled by the scoreline last weekend, or rather midweek, against Nottingham Forest, but it's not going to be enough to cause an upset. Next, we've got Leicester Fulham, and I'm going into this one a bit biased, having a Leicester City mate. I hope for a upset and a draw, 1-1. Whereas Copilot more realistically predicts 3-1 to Fulham. There's definitely going to be some goals in this game. Looking at the stats, neither teams have been keeping many clean sheets and have been scoring loads of goals in the last few. So next we've got Crystal fucking Palace. All right, we're playing at the West Ham ground. My brothers are actually going to this game. And Copilot again making wet predictions, saying that we're going to draw. I think we're going to demolish them 3-1 standard. But we have been drawing a lot this season, so their prediction is kind of fair this time. Against Leicester, it was ridiculous. Like, we're not going to draw to a fucking relegation scrap. But West Ham is a much better team, and it's at their ground as well. I'm less confident in this one, but I still think we're going to win. And now, Arsenal Villa. Unai Emery coming back to the Emirates. It's going to be an interesting one. This one's going to be the Greece Classico, as I've just thought of. You've got the greasy-haired Unai Emery and Arteta coming up against each other. Two Spaniards. And I see Arsenal winning this, but just about. You know, they're not playing exciting football. They're not mesmerising in attack or defence. But, in defence, maybe. But, so that makes me think it's going to be just 1-0 to Arsenal. Whereas Copilot predicts 2-1. Fair prediction. Both going for a tight one, I guess. So, yeah. Next up, we got Everton at home against Spurs. I think Spurs are going to look to bounce back after their embarrassment against Arsenal and just general embarrassing season, to be honest. They usually beat Everton, so they'll probably pick up some points here. And, yeah, going for 2-0 to Spurs. Copilot is actually going for a draw, which I would say is less likely to happen. I'm going for a more likely scenario. But considering David Moyes is going to be the manager for this game, maybe Everton will have some sort of motivation with the new coach and new system in place. But I just think it's a bit too soon. Dwight McNeil being injured as well, going to cause an upset here. Man United Brighton. Man United 2, Brighton 1. Fuck Brighton. Next, we got Forest versus Southampton. I think Forest will win 1-0. Pretty standard, but not going to be an easy game for them just because Southampton really have to start picking up points if they're going to realistically try to avoid relegation. Forest are going to be too good for them, but Southampton are not going to make it easy with that motivation of staying up. Copilot agrees, decides a close game in 2-1. And yeah, fair score. Next, we've got Ipswich, Man City. And last week, me and Copilot actually agreed on a lot more games. We agreed on 3 scorelines out of 10. Now we've only agreed on this one out of 10. Both saying 3-0 to Man City. And as you guys know, I make these predictions on Copilot after I write down my predictions. So I'm not influenced by what Copilot might have said and base my predictions off of that. Since last week, all the games me and Copilot agreed on were incorrect predictions. I think I should maybe change my one. And last and least, Chelsea versus Wolves. Fuck Chelsea. They just stole Trevor Chalobah from us. They're genuinely just a scummy club. And I hope they lose, but realistically, I'm predicting 4-1 to them. Last time they played Wolves, it was like 5-3 or something crazy, like a really high scoreline. So I think this game is going to be similar, although Wolves have got a different manager. And Copilot thinks quite differently, 2-1 to Chelsea only. So yeah, that's the table summarized. I've also put in a little section here for the possible winnings I could be making from this, and the possible winnings Copilot would be making if it decided to bet £1 on each scoreline individually. I've decided I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and bet on what I believe is going to happen, but not just yet, only next weekend. I want to see if I just got a bit lucky last weekend. I probably did. There's a lot of luck involved here. One weekend you might get 0 out of 10. Another weekend you might get 3 out of 10 like I did. But from the kind of average numbers that I'm seeing as possible winnings here, if I get 3 out of 10 this weekend, I had to calculate that quickly. So if I get 3 out of 10 this weekend, I will get approximately £30. And I'll be putting in tenner, or if I was putting in, I'm not actually, but roughly comes out to £20 profit. So I probably could have made that last weekend. We'll see how close I get this weekend. And yeah, for now that's it. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.